Hey guys, welcome back to the Fan Cave Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Bludorn. As you can see today, the dais looks a little different than usual today. We've had a lot of technical difficulties and people traveling. So Landon, his Wi-Fi is down, so he's not able to do it today. And Debo is in Colorado on a personal trip. So I had to scramble together some people today, and I brought in my own flesh and blood to be on the show today. Right below me, we have my older brother, the man, the myth, the legend, Jesse Bludorn.
Yeah.
This way, I can't ever do the pointing's the hardest part of this thing backwards. We have the man who created us, the legend himself, Mr. Pete Bludorn. Everybody, the man, the myth. And to the right, we have the adversary in this conversation. We have avid Philadelphia Eagles fan,
Ooh.
Mr. Brad Perry. How are we doing, guys? How's the day going for you?
I didn't know there was an Eagles fan in this thing.
That's why I did it for the game today, man.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not in his stadium, so he can't beat me up.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not the normal Eagles fan. I'm pretty.
All right, cool. Welcome then.
All right, moving on. So I want to dive right into it. I want to dive into the games of last week. Recap. We're going to do a fully NFL show. And we'll go ahead and start off with the Miami Dolphins game at the Ravens. In my mind, it was the game of the week. Tua had the game of his career. My question for you, Brad, I'm going to start off with you.
Yeah.
After the amazing game that Tua had, throwing for 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Is this the new Tua, or is it kind of a fluke? What do you think, Brad?
I'll tell you what, man. I was watching that at work the other day, and honestly, I think as long as he keeps his receiving core together, they look dangerous. This looks like something that could continue. He looked comfortable. He looked confident. That's the thing I really noticed is their team when they were down. I think they were down 21, 12 minutes left in the game, or maybe in the second half or something. But just they always looked confident, and that's not a usual Miami Dolphin team they've got going on there. He's got deep ball threats. He's got speed. Their offense is fast. If they can stay healthy, because Jalen Waddle and Tua both kind of struggled injuries, but they can stay healthy. I think this is an offense that can continue for sure.
No, I completely agree. I think if Tua can play like Tua that we know he is capable of doing, I think this team can really go. I mean, they have all the weapons they need to be an elite football team. It's just the question has been since he's gotten there is, can Tua lead the team?
Oh yeah,
and can he consistently be that guy? So, Dad, what do you think? I'm sure I know you watched all the games yesterday, Dad. What's your take on the Dolphins? What do you think? I know the game was incredible. Like I said, the Ravens were up 35-14 going into the fourth quarter. Dad, what do you think about? Do you think the Dolphins are real, or do you think they're a fluke?
No, they're for real. I didn't see what happened. I wasn't, I had all 4 games on, but there must have been some turnovers in there, and Baltimore must have self-destructed. I didn't see it, and I haven't seen the highlights. But whenever there's a turnaround like that, there had to have been some fumbles or interceptions or something. So
definitely. I had the red zone on, so I was kind of bouncing around too. But yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I think they put up 28 points in the fourth quarter. Something had to happen for sure.
Right. So I haven't seen what that was. So I don't know if it was more of obviously it was a Miami comeback, but the other team also has to contribute to it by poor play or by turnovers. And I'm curious to see what happened.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Well, Brad, what do you think? Do you think all 3 of us sound exactly the same? Does it sound like we're all echoing each other? It's kind of nuts, isn't it, Brad? We sound ridiculously similar, all 3 of it. It's actually kind of ridiculous.
When I first got on this group and I heard your dad talking, I thought it was you.
Yeah, right. All 3 of us sound exactly the same.
No, definitely. I'm like figuring it out right now. Just like
right.
Let's do this.
Absolutely. Jess, you got any take on that Dolphins game? Were you able to watch much of it?
When I was watching, I watched Lamar Jackson run his longest run he's ever had in his career. I thought it was going to be a blowout.
Right.
I didn't see the second half. I have no idea how they came back, but for the Dolphins there, they got two of the fastest receivers in the league, Tyreek Hill and this Jalen Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
They're both, I don't know they're 40 times or anything, but they got to be some of the fastest in the league. So that's going to definitely help them out. Those two receivers make a good combo. So I think if Tua, he's getting experience under his belt and everything, I think he'll be just fine, and he's a mobile quarterback too. So that always helps in the league today. I would call the Dolphins definitely a contender for sure, man. They, especially after this last defeat, it's not easy to go into Baltimore and beat them. So.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Moving on into the world of Trey Lance and the 49ers. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about how Trey Lance, was he going to really pan out and be the guy that they spent a third-round pick in to move up for? It's kind of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's legacy as a front office as to whether their success kind of fully coordinates with whether Trey Lance is good or not. So it's kind of like their whole future is put on hold if Trey Lance can't make it. But Jimmy G, with the injury, he's out for the year. Can Jimmy G carry the team? Jesse, what do you think the 49ers can do with Trey Lance out and Jimmy G back? It's kind of like the same team when I went to the Super Bowl a few years ago. Do you think the 49ers can be that same team, or do you think they're dead in the water with Jimmy G at quarterback?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, as I wanted Trey Lance to do good. He played for North Dakota State, which is right up in our area. But no, if I was a 49ers fan, I'd be jumping for joy. Jimmy G, in my opinion, is obviously the best quarterback. He's experienced. He's accurate. The only thing you're losing maybe is mobility. The 49ers, with that defensive line is a care to be messed with. I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with them. So I would say it was a good thing for the 49ers, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. But, I think Jimmy G's much better quarterback for this year. Maybe not in the future, but for this year, Jimmy G, that's who I'd want if I was a 49er fan.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Brad, what's your take on it? What do you think the 49ers can be with old Jimmy G in there?
Honestly, I agree with your brother. I've watched Trey Lance. He's not really been too impressive to me so far. I remember me and you both, when he was in college, we both used to kind of say,
That's Uncle Frank. That's Uncle Frank there. It's Uncle Frank. He's checking out the podcast right now. What's up, Frank? How we doing?
Yeah, I don't think you boys know what you're talking about. You better let Pete and I run the show.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
Oh man, this is great. This is so awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I think that honestly, I just agree with your brother. I think Jimmy Garoppolo's got more experience. I think he's a lot more comfortable with the offense. Obviously, like your brother said, they're definitely losing some mobility options. But Trey Lance, to me, he was a little overhyped coming into the league. I do think he was good in college, but I think that there's a different kind of attitude, there's like a different swagger with Jimmy. He may not have all the crazy statistics or anything of that sort, but he's a winner. He's been a proven winner. He's been under some great leaders, and I think that carries well to a locker room. I think the players trust him. And I think, honestly, he's a better quarterback. And so I think that they might not, it might not completely change the season, but I do think it adds there seems to be more of like a fluidity with the offense when he's under center. So.
Couldn't agree more. Frank and Dad, what do you guys think about Jimmy G and the 49ers? And I know it's sad to see a North Dakota State guy go down, Minnesota native. He's from Marshall, Minnesota, just a little over an hour away from us. What's your take on the 49ers? Are they the real deal? Do you think they can win the division?
No, I don't. The coaches watch these guys every day in practice. I think every NFL coach is trying to get a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson and all of them, and they probably thought that that's what Trey Lance could do better. He had a bad game against the Bears last week. Granted, it was pouring rain, but it would have been nice to see what he could do. That's not going to happen, and I wonder who their backup's going to be if Garoppolo goes down. That's what I'm curious about. So
Yeah, right.
So we'll see what happens.
Maybe they'll bring Manziel back. No, but they won't do that. But that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, they need something, but no, yeah.
No, definitely.
I think they should have worked him in a little bit. I don't think they should have thrown him to the Wolves right away and just seen kind of what had happened a few games down the road. You know, that's awful lot to ask of a guy right away to shove him in there and expect to lead the team. I think he probably does have potential, but to me, I thought it was just a little bit early, and I think they should have kind of eased him in. But
yeah, I completely agree. They kind of just threw him to the Wolves and see if he was going to come out all right. No doubt. All right, moving on to – what was that, Frank?
No, go ahead.
All right, you're good. All right, so moving on to our next segment, we're going to play a little game with all of you guys. I'm going to ask you a team in the NFL, and you're going to tell me whether they're a contender or a pretender in the league. I'm going to give you a few teams, and we're going to bounce on and see what you guys think. So, coming to you, Brad, first and foremost, I got Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints. Are they a contender or a pretender?
Oh, man. This team is so hard to judge at the moment. Like,
they are.
I don't understand it because they genuinely could probably beat anyone in the league, but they could also lose to anyone in the league. And something that I've just been waiting for is they have right now – I watched the Tampa Bay. They don't seem to have a downfield threat passing the ball. And when they do, it always kind of seems forced. It's almost like they're in panic mode. And so I've noticed more defenses just waiting. They're waiting on the big Jameis mistake. And I don't know. It just seems like Jameis Winston, like the player that he was before his injury, I think it was last season, he's not the same as of right now. I think he's lost a little bit of his confidence. I'd say right now, pretender, but it's so hard to judge because they'll probably come into Link if we play them, and we'll probably lose to them. But they're a gritty team. They play hard. They have good defense. The only issue is there's no offense, and you just can't win in the NFL if you can't score any points. And honestly, right now, I look at their roster. Besides,
Kamara?
Is it Justin? Who's their receiver that just came back off the mend?
Michael Thomas.
Justin Thomas. Besides Michael Thomas, I just don't really trust their receivers to get much separation. And Alvin Kamara seems to be getting less and less touches every season, which is just kind of strange. I don't know if he even wants to be there anymore. But, yeah, right now I'll say probably pretender. But talk to me in 6 weeks.
What about you, Jess? What do you think about the New Orleans Saints?
It's tough. This is a tough call. It's a really tough call. I'm gonna have to say contender, just because they have the tools to be a contender. Doesn't look like they put it together yet. So as of right now, I might call them a pretender, but they have the ability to be a contender if they change some things, get some things figured out there. It's only week 2. They got a little time to do that. So yeah, I guess I will call them a pretender, but they have the ability to be a contender if they can get their shit together. So
absolutely, couldn't agree more. What about you there, Dad?
I think they're a pretender all the way.
Yeah.
I've never been impressed with Jameis Winston. He turns the ball over. He doesn't have a good head on his shoulders. Look at all the turnovers. He throws interceptions all the time. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
All he does is get W's, though. Have you ever seen that interview, Brad? That's the funniest interview I've ever watched.
First thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's so bad. Anyway, I'll move on.
After this last game, his interview?
No.
What interview are you referring to?
He's got so many different ones. But
okay.
At the end of the post-game interview, he took his fingers like this and goes, all we do is get W's. And started licking his fingers. It was the weirdest interview I've ever watched in my entire life.
Did they get a W yesterday? He threw 2 more interceptions. They were horrible interceptions. His guy has no head on his shoulders. Yeah.
Yes, I agree completely. All right, moving on. Dad, coming to you first. The Let's Ride Nation, the Denver Broncos. What's your take on the Denver Broncos, Dad? Are they a contender or a pretender?
Really disappointed in their offense yesterday. Their defense won the game. The offense looked pathetic. It had no rhythm whatsoever. I got a friend that you guys know in Denver, and I told him I wouldn't be too proud of the Broncos right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll play better down the road. They played their offense looked horrible yesterday, so they got lucky and won.
All right. Pete's not too high on the Broncos. Brad, what do you think about the Denver Broncos?
Not too high.
Pretenders as well, huh?
I'm not. They're 100% pretender right now. I think they're all there's these teams with no offenses. They just can't win the NFL. I mean, and their defenses can keep them in games, but they won yesterday. But I mean, I'm not buying the hype with the Denver Broncos. I like Russell Wilson. I still think he's solid. I do think if Jerry Jeudy can stay healthy and they can get another receiver up, maybe on like the slot position, maybe they'll be good in a couple of years. But as of right now, no, not enough talent.
Yeah. Jess, what do you think?
Yeah, they haven't really showed a whole lot to be impressed with so far. They just did get a new quarterback, so maybe things will start to, work out in the future. But even if they were better than they are now, they got to deal with the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers, all three great teams. They got to play each of them twice. There's no way they're making the playoffs.
I actually couldn't agree more. I got them as pretenders as well. They're going to have to really show up, especially with Nathaniel Hackett at coach. Too many mistakes are getting made. They have a lot of growing pains. First year head coach, kind of that whole deal. I think the Broncos are 100% pretenders until proven otherwise. Moving on. This team, I want to be good. When the Vikings struggle, I cheer for these guys. The Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. One week they look like world beaters. Next week they look pathetic. Jess, what do you think of the Arizona Cardinals? And they give every fan a heart attack every single week because you don't know what's going to happen with them every week. What do you got on the Cardinals?
Yeah, their defense just isn't good enough to. Their offense can score points, but how many points can they score? They're missing DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray is great, but I'm going to put them as a pretender. They just, as a whole, I don't think they'll make it. So,
Brad, what do you think?
I actually think that Arizona has all the tools you need to be a great team in the NFL. But I'm actually going to make a pretty hot take here. I don't like Cliff Kingsbury whatsoever. I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he's had success anywhere he's ever been. I think that people hire him because he probably can talk smooth, and I think that he's a good-looking man. But guess what, dude? You got to coach football games. You got to go out there and win. And he has continuously failed at every job he's ever had. And do I think people buy into the charisma stuff? Yeah, I'm sure he's a good leader in the locker room. But on the field, you got to call X's and O's, and you got to win football games. And we saw, I think it might have been last year, Arizona fell apart. And it was horrible. I knew someone was going to say that. No, Cliff Kingsbury's a handsome guy, man. Come on. But you got to win football games. And I think Arizona's got a lot of talent. But in the NFL, sometimes the coaching fits just don't work. And I think this is just another one of those where might win 9 or 10 games, but I don't see them winning a single playoff game.
Dad, what's your take on the Arizona Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury?
No, I don't give a crap about Cliff Kingsbury. They have a great offense. I think they can hang with anybody. I'm biased because I bought them in the Calcutta, and they better win the damn division. So that's my take on it. They're a contender. Go Cardinals.
Heck yeah, go Cards. Fly, Cards, fly. All right. This team's been a surprise so far this year.
Oh,
I'm kind of shocked to see him undefeated, 2-0. Dad, are the New York Giants a contender or a pretender in the NFC East?
All 4 teams in that division are a contender because they all stink. who knows? Who knows which one's going to come out of it and be good? I have no idea. We'll find out more tonight about Philadelphia. I didn't see any of the Giants game yesterday. I have no idea.
Saquon, the running back, is back. He's looking really good.
Okay, good. Well, good. Then that helps out. But all four of them are a contender in that division. That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Brad, what do you think about your rival, the New York Giants?
Here's how I feel about the Giants. I think that now they have a running game that's been established again. I think it's opened up the offense a little bit. I think now they have an offense that can at least compete in games, and I think their defense is good enough to keep them around. But those are 100% pretenders. Come on. The Giants aren't a good football team. They don't have a good quarterback. They don't have a good coach. And I'm definitely biased because I can't stand the New York Giants. Go Birds. But I actually agree with your dad. I don't think any of the teams in our division are extremely strong. I think the Eagles could make a big jump this year, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they went 9-8. So, no, I don't think the Giants are good. I do think they'll probably surprise us with maybe like 7 wins this year. But I think they're still a couple years away. Serious contenders in the East.
Jess, what's your take? What do you think?
Giants, I would have to say contender. The division is weaker. I just like all their receivers. They got multiple ones that are, top 1-2 receivers in the league for a team. Saquon Barkley's back. It's a lot of it's up to Daniel Jones. See how he's maturing. See if he could not turn the ball over and get those receivers the football. As far as the defense goes, they got some playmakers, and I don't think they're anything great, but I think they're good enough to win that division. So only time will tell.
Yeah, I like I said, the division, the Eagles, I think, are the clear-cut favorites to win the division. But they're going to get smoked tonight. I'm putting that on 10. But Dallas, Dak's out, but Cooper Rush got a big W yesterday, which was kind of surprising. This is a tough one. I think the Giants can contend. I mean, they're winning ball games, but I think if they do make it somehow slide in and win the division, they're going to get blown out in the first round of the playoffs. So I'm going to say contender just because the division, you never know, but it's going to be them or the Eagles, I think, because I think Dallas is going to struggle. Yeah. And the Commanders and Carson Wentz are a joke. So it's tough to say I like Carson.
Redskins till I die, man.
Yeah, and I can't even call them that. Like it's like calling the Cleveland Indians the Guardians. It just doesn't sound right at all. All right, moving on. This team, everybody was very, very high on because of the new addition at quarterback, but it's not working thus far. The Indianapolis Colts. Jesse, what do you think? 0-2 on the year with 0-1-1 because of the tie to the Texans, and they've looked horrible offensively. What's your take? There's a lot of injuries, but what do you think?
The Colts, man, has there been a more disappointing team than them? I mean, they get Matt Ryan, who I've always been high on. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. So you expect big things, but wow, especially after yesterday. I mean, the Jags are up and coming. So but still, what was it? 24-0? Is that what the score was? What was the final score of that game?
I should probably look it up.
Yeah, I'm not.
24-0.
The first game, Jonathan Thomas looked good. He's an absolute stud, probably one of the best running backs in the league. But other than that, what can you say good about the Colts, man? Absolutely pretender.
All right, Brad, what do you think? Can they still win the division?
I've got to agree, man. They're an absolute pretender. I remember your boy Debo Mills said they were a top 5 team in the NFL, and I almost threw up, man. Like, what?
I know. I couldn't believe it either.
Matt Ryan, he's severely digressed. I do think that Jonathan Taylor, I do think he's an absolute dog. But I do think Indianapolis has a good defense. The problem is, man, their offense looks horrible. I don't know what. I mean, Pittman, I like him a lot, but I'm telling you, man, they might not they might not win 6 games this year if they keep playing the way they're playing right now. They're 100% contender.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Dad, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know much about them. They're anybody that starts like that, you got to call a pretender. Yeah, they got their ass kicked bad yesterday, so they're a pretender.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They do have a lot of injuries. Darius Leonard, aka Shaq Leonard, is on their number one player on defense. He's out. I mean, they have a lot of injuries. Michael Pittman, number one receiver, is out. Michael Pittman didn't play. He didn't play yesterday, and Shaq Leonard's about the first 2 games. So there is excuses. There's reasons why, but they got to. But to get blown out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team a year removed from Urban Meyer's madness up there. I mean, down there, it's alarming for sure. It's definitely panic mode for the Indianapolis Colts right now. All right, yeah, this is the last one for this segment. We're going back to the AFC West. The Las Vegas Raiders with the new addition, Davante Adams. Are they a contender or a pretender in the hardest division in football?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I guess I'll have to call them a contender. I think they made all the right moves, getting the right players. I don't know. I don't know how they lost that game, but they did. So I'll call them a contender.
Okay.
Yeah.
0-2 Raiders are a contender. I like it. Brad, what do you got?
I actually agree. I think they are a contender. I do think they need to, like, they obviously have to learn how to finish a game. But week 1 they were kind of getting it going towards the end of that ball game, and then week 2, I mean, they just had an out-of-world collapse. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't happen every week for most franchises. And I do think that they improved on the offensive end with Davante Adams, and I think Derek Carr is a fantastic leader. I think that he's a great quarterback. I am a little bit concerned with just like slow starts are always never a good sign for real contender teams. Like, it usually does not happen. But we saw with Aaron Rodgers, same kind of thing. Slow start week 1, came back week 2, looked fantastic. But the Raiders choked another one. But I'll give them the tip right now for being a contender. But we'll see week 3. They lose again, I'm off the train.
Jess, what do you think down in Vegas?
Las Vegas, I like them a lot. When they've shown signs of being really good, and obviously they've shown signs of being really bad. They've lost 2 close games. So they're in a big hole in a tough division. But I think they got what it takes if they can figure it all out. They keep playing like they do now. They're going to be in trouble, but I could see them doing it.
I'm going to say pretender, not because of the Las Vegas Raiders offense and their team, but because they're in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs, who look like one of the best offenses I've ever seen without Tyreek Hill, which is still amazing. The Los Angeles Chargers, who I picked as my preseason team to potentially make a Super Bowl. I'm very high on the Chargers. And then you got the Broncos, who are going to play teams tough, but they're not going to win games, but they're going to play teams tough. And then you get the Raiders. I think it's tough saying they're a pretender because it's the Las Vegas Raiders and they're Davante Adams, Derek Carr, weapons galore. But I think because of the division they're in, they will not make the playoffs. All right, moving on. Now we get to all put on our GM hat today and see if you were if you were drafting today. Say these guys were all rookies. I mean, but you know what they can do. We're playing Would You Rather NFL edition with NFL players. Who would you take if they're both on the clock? Top 2 guys available. Who are you guys taking? All right, Jess, coming to you first. If you're the GM for the Vikes,
and I could take any 2 players in the NFL.
No, I'm gonna tell you two people.
Okay, got you.
Which one would you want? Would you rather NFL? Would you rather? Would you take T.J. Watt, an elite defensive end, or are you taking Aaron Donald, elite defensive tackle? Who are you going with to start your franchise off with number 1 overall pick for the Minnesota Vikings?
Good Lord, you can't go wrong with either of them. But Aaron Donald had some talks of putting it up, so that's why I don't know if he's ready or not, but he's won a Super Bowl. TJ Watt's still hungrier. I think he wants it more, and you can't go wrong with either guy. They're both superstars, both great, but I would go with TJ Watt.
Brad, what do you think? I'm making it easy for you guys today with these Would You Rather, by the way. They're all going to be very, very difficult.
I think TJ Watt also. I think he's a great in rusher. I think that he's pretty pretty awesome. I'm gonna have to go with him. And honestly, I was a little bit low on him when he was drafted. I was like, a lot of people were just buying into hype because of his brother, but he's honestly surpassed. I think he's close to surpassing even his brother at this point. He's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're both. It's very, very tough. Brad, Dad, who do you think? Do you know who they are?
I didn't know. No, I didn't know he had a brother. I was just gonna say, didn't he get hurt?
Yeah, he
didn't
did,
one of them get?
This is a hypothetical,
Oh, well, then you got to take Donald. Hell, he's hurt. He's not going to play.
There you go. I like the simplicity of that.
Right.
But no, if I were to pick, so you went with Donald, Dad. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if all three of us were going to pick Watt, I was going to say, are the Bludorns racist because we picked the white guy on the defensive line, which doesn't happen very often. But if I were to choose, I'm picking Aaron Donald because of how he can blow up the middle. He stops the running game himself. I like Aaron Donald in that situation. Moving on. Brad, for you, if you are the number 1 overall draft pick, which quarterback are you taking to lead your team? Trevor Lawrence or Tua?
Oh man. I guess right now, I hate that I'm going to say this, Tua. Just
Tua?
because, yeah, I would have never said that in my life. I absolutely could not stand Tua last year. But I do think Trevor Lawrence will come into his own this year. I think this will be his year where he finally kind of finds his ground. But I mean, until he really does something and impresses me, I'm not buying too much stock into that. But Tua, the Dolphins have been competitive since he's been on the roster, and they might not have had any deep runs yet, but I do think, I think this might be the year where all he might have been missing to really be a great quarterback was a couple downfield threats, and they have those. And I think it really has opened up his game, and I think he looks more confident that he can really throw the ball up and has a receiver that can go grab it for him. I know he had Devontae Parker, but he's inconsistent. So right now, Tua. And I think if Tua had stayed healthy, he would have been an absolute menace in the NFL. But I think he's kind of getting his feet under him now.
How about you, Jess? What do you think? Who are you taking? Number 1 overall.
Yeah, man. I can't make it. I would like to hear someone make a case that one is a lot better than the other. I'm gonna go Tua. He's more proven in the league. Trevor Lawrence, though, I really like what I've seen so far this year. He struggled last year, but all rookie quarterbacks struggle. So I'm gonna pick Tua, but Trevor Lawrence has impressed me so far this year.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Dad?
No, it's a no-brainer. Trevor Lawrence can only hope that someday he's half as good as Tua. Yeah, he might get there, he might not. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Tua. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You think he's half as good as that's a statement.
He might be someday. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna take Tua because he is the most proven, but I do want to make a case that Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer as his head coach last year, who didn't know what he was doing in the NFL. Horrible experiment last year. You can't hold that against him. And this year, with a new situation, I mean, they killed the Indianapolis Colts. We don't know who they are, but I don't know. Trevor Lawrence isn't as far behind as people think he is. That's all I'm going to put out there. Moving on. This one I wanted to get to so bad. Before you had to cut off, Dad, I knew I wanted to get to this one because us three are such diehard Vikings fans. This one is 2 NFL Vikings legends. I want to see if you had the first overall pick. Which one are you leaving behind, or which one are you taking? Jess, I'm going to you first. As an avid Vikings fan, are you taking Randy Moss or Adrian Peterson, number 1 overall pick? Who are you taking?
When you said 2 people, I'm like, don't pick Randy Moss and Adrian Peterson. I was like, but I've thought about this a little bit, and it's Randy Moss. Even though I think Adrian Peterson in his heyday, he was so good.
He was I know.
I'm gonna go with Moss. Why? I don't know. I just a feeling I have that he was the better. I've kind of thought about this before. I'm going with Moss. Just a feeling I had. They're both amazing, though.
I agree. Brad, what do you think? I know you're not a Vikings fan, but they are both absolute legends and super fun to watch.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what, I'll be the odd man out because I feel like all you guys are gonna pick Moss, and I want to pick Moss, but Adrian Peterson, for me growing up, that he was the best running back I'd ever seen in the NFL at the time of me being like from 12 to 17. He was unstoppable, and so I actually was even a big fan of him in college, and so just for that and that alone, and he really did. There was one season where he genuinely carried the Vikings in every game. It was Christian Ponder as quarterback, I think it might have been. It's horrible
He
to watch.
was 7th overall pick, the best pick the Vikings ever had.
And you think about, like, he's a running back without a passing game, and he still was putting up numbers like that. It was ridiculous. So I'll go AP on this one.
All right, Dad, who you got?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer again. AP all the way. AP played his ass off every game. He did it all on his own. Randy Moss played football when he wanted to. Other than that, he was over humping the goalpost or whatever, answering telephones or whatever the hell it was. It's a no-brainer, and AP better get out of boxing. That's all I know because he got knocked out.
Le'Veon.
All right, so that's a no-brainer. AP all the way. Yeah.
All right, this one is tough. AP, I think, can affect the game more. AP can 100% affect the game because of how dynamic a runner he was. If you look at the quarterbacks the Vikings had when AP was there, we absolutely wasted the brilliance that was Adrian Peterson. We had Christian Ponder, Tavares Jackson. I mean, it was Sage Rosenfels. We did have Brett Favre for a year, but then Bountygate happened. I mean, it was pathetic. But I look at the league today and what matters most. I don't know, because it's such a passing league and the running backs aren't getting the ball 30 times a game anymore, other than Derrick Henry. I think Randy Moss would fit better in today's game, but I got to pick Adrian Peterson, man. He was so fun to watch. I mean, if we didn't have him, say Randy Moss was out and Adrian Peterson was out for a football game, who would affect our offense more? If AP was out, we might as well pack it up and go home and not even go on the road trip because he was so unbelievable. Yes, Randy was awesome, but AP would change a game, man. One run would change the game. That's a tough one, though. I wanted to get to that one. All right, we have two more left. Then we'll move into the football games. Two more left.
I got to run.
All right. See you, Dad. He is an absolute character, that guy. Let me tell you, he is nuts. He is absolutely ridiculous. We both know it. He says some wild stuff. It's only gotten crazier. He's gotten older, but he's hilarious. All right, here we go. Keep it moving. This one, we're gonna do the Chiefs scenario here. If you're a first overall pick, who are you taking? Are you taking Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce to lead your team? Because the Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill and kept Travis Kelce. Jess, what do you think about that situation? Who are you taking?
Oh, yeah, definitely Kelce. He's just a force to be reckoned with. Tyreek Hill is fast, and I've been interested to see how Hill does in his new with his new team. So far, he hasn't done a whole lot, but Kelce, he's a game changer. I kind of thought that the Hardman from the Chiefs, I kind of thought he was going to take over for Hill's role. He's just as fast as Hill, but he hasn't shown yet. So maybe Hill is that much better. But I got to go with Kelce. He's a game changer.
What about you, Brad? What do you think? Who you keeping on your roster?
100% Tyreek Hill, man. That guy is an absolute gamer. He changes the dynamic of every offense he's on. I mean, literally the reason that the Dolphins won that game on Sunday was because of his there's just something, his feet. He's so fast. Once he gets in open space, that's the thing. Once he gets the ball in his hands, it's almost everyone in the building thinks he's going to score a touchdown. And that's something you can't duplicate with many players in the league, even in the history of the league. I do think Kelce is fantastic. I think he's big, strong hands, so he can catch the ball with a lot of contact. He's also a good run blocker. But I do think that Tyreek Hill look at the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. They look like a whole different team. And I'm secretly a Bills guy also. And so Tyreek Hill, man, he broke my heart last year. And so for that reason, that he is an absolute dog. He's the quickest person to run routes I've ever seen. I got to go Tyreek Hill on this one.
This one's tough for me because Travis Kelce is one of my top 2-3 favorite players in the league. I love watching him play, probably ever. I love Travis Kelce. He's my favorite tight end I've ever watched. He's a blast. Super fun to watch. Super outgoing, fun guy. But I'm going to pick Tyreek Hill, and it sucks to say this because if you watch Andy Reid's offense, Tyreek Hill was the guy who would tell Patrick Mahomes with all the motions and all the things they had him running around doing. That's what told Patrick Mahomes what defense they were in. He was the key guy every single week they had the key on. He was the number one guy, number one option, and he still had the numbers that he had. I'm going Tyreek Hill just over Travis Kelce because of all the things you can do with him. You can literally run your offense through Tyreek Hill as opposed to Kelce kind of complements off people. But this is the first year Travis Kelce is the guy, and he's doing a heck of a job. So he's kind of disproving my point there. But I think Tyreek Hill still is the greater weapon to have on your offense moving forward. All right. This question right here is probably probably the 2 or 3 biggest arguments we have on this show because of the main person, Landon Stidham, and how much he loves Tom Brady. It's kind of weird how much he likes Tom Brady. But I'm going to go ahead and drop this one for you, Brad, coming to you. In their primes, in their best, who are you taking? Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? Who are you taking, Brad?
Oh, yes. I'm so
Keep this
glad.
conversation going.
Aaron Rodgers. To my grave, Aaron Rodgers. Look, I know Tom Brady's a winner. I know that he has all the Super Bowl rings, but he's also had a better coach, and he's also had a better organization that genuinely builds their offense for Tom Brady to succeed. If you look at one thing from the Packers that have been consistent through Aaron Rodgers' time there, they have consistently failed in the draft at getting receivers, getting him downfield threats, and getting him anything to balance the offense. Aaron Rodgers' numbers are out of this world. Pretty sure he only has like 6 interceptions in the last 3 seasons. That is unheard of. And Tom Brady, I think, has been helped by a lot of other players that we don't give credit to. And I also think he was under one of the best coaches of all time. No disrespect to Tom Brady. I think he's great. I think he'll go down as the greatest football player of all time. But true talent and what they truly bring to their teams, Aaron Rodgers, if the Green Bay Packers didn't have Aaron Rodgers, they wouldn't score a single point. If I almost said New England, if the Buccaneers didn't have Tom Brady, I still think they could muster up some kind of points because of the skilled players and because they have a good running back. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Aaron Jones, but man, come on. Aaron Rodgers is that man on the field. The best deep ball I've ever seen, and his precision on throwing on the run is unheard of. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers. I know it's probably not going to be a popular pick, but I'm going with it.
Jess, what do you think? What do you weigh in the conversation? We've had a lot of arguments on this show and in just talking with friends about this. This is kind of like the 2 people in our age group that were the 2 GOATs. It's kind of like this conversation. It's kind of like the mainstay conversation. What's your take on it, Jess?
Tom Brady. No question. You could maybe in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers is good as much as I hate him. He's a good quarterback. He's good at he's not fast, but he's good at juking the defenders and still being able to make plays. But, it all comes down to big games too. Big games. Aaron Rodgers loses. Tom Brady wins them all. I got to give it to Brady. Aaron Rodgers is good, though, but he needs to step it up in those conference championship games. Tom Brady found a way to win, and Aaron Rodgers just hasn't.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Now, if we were saying who's the more talented quarterback, I don't think that's a question. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most physically talented quarterback I've seen in a long time. This is tough, and I've went back and forth. But who would I rather have running the show for my team? Who would I think would get along with the players the most?
Don't say it.
I'm going Aaron Rodgers. We've watched
Come
too
on.
many games where he messes the Vikings whole day up, and it's tough. It's tough to pick him as a Vikings fan. It's tough to pick, but I'm gonna go Aaron Rodgers. Landon's gonna hate me for it. He probably already does. Everybody who goes against Tom Brady, he like just shuns out of his life for a little while. It's just how he does it. I am taking Aaron Rodgers. I'm saying it with my chest. I like Aaron Rodgers for sure. I mean, the guy does ayahuasca and still wins MVPs. He's unbelievable. He gets into flow state better than anybody other quarterback in the NFL. I got Aaron Rodgers all day long. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but I really don't care. All right, moving on. This is the thing I've been waiting to talk about. I wish Dad was still on for this, but we're getting into Monday night games now. Monday night. You know which one we're going to first. We're going to Philadelphia versus Minnesota in Eagle Land. Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite at home. What is your take? I know you're taking the Eagles. We're taking the Vikings. I know that's obvious. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, Brad, as an Eagles fan, do you think Jalen Hurts can be your franchise quarterback for the future, or are you wanting to look other directions for your franchise going forward?
Okay, if you'd have asked me last year, I couldn't have been less on the Jalen Hurts train. I do think he's a natural-born competitor. I think he lays everything he can on the line for the team. But I just he just doesn't bring the it factor that I feel like a real franchise quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl has. And I don't like his statistics are very misleading. And here's the thing. We've been without a true receiving core for at least 4 years, and we've also had a terrible offensive line. And so I don't want to give too much hate to Jalen Hurts. I think he did the best he could with what he was given. This is the year right here. This will be the year that either shows, can he win with good receivers and an improved offensive line? If we don't at least make the playoffs and win one game, I think you got to look other directions. I still love Jalen Hurts very much so. I respect him. I love what he's done for our team. But, man, there's something, I don't know why. I just can't go there. I just can't truly believe in him. But, hey, this is the year for him to turn me into a believer. So right now, no.
What's your take on Jalen Hurts, Jess? I know we're kind of outside looking in, but what do you think about Jalen Hurts? Do you think he is a franchise quarterback, or do you think that he's just the fill-in guy until we find somebody new?
Yeah, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback yet. I've always been a fan of him ever since he played for Alabama, and then he got taken out and he went to a different college. Was it Oklahoma? Did he? Yeah, he started for Oklahoma. I just always cheered for him, but he needs to be a better passer, I would say. He obviously can run like none other. But quarterback, he's got to become a more accurate and passer, not turn the ball over as much. But he can, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I agree completely. I like Jalen, especially if you're a fantasy owner, because he gets a lot of rushing touchdowns. But as an overall quarterback, he's right there. I mean, he has moments of brilliance. He really does. He has moments of absolute brilliance. And then he held this game where he'd blown out by 30. It's like that playoff game. Just like it's tough because he's always been that guy. He's always been the guy that can get it done. But sometimes he just looks absolutely like a whole world falls off. So I'm going to say he's good for now, but I don't think he's going to be the franchise guy moving forward. All right, Jess. I don't know if I'm sure so. I want a dad on this for you. I want both of you on here because you guys were at the week 1 game against Green Bay. And I wanted to talk about, man, first of all, what was the stadium like in Minneapolis? I'm sure it was rocking. And I'm sure Justin Jefferson had the game of his life. And do you think he can continue? So talk about the atmosphere of the game and then talk about, do you think Justin Jefferson can keep this monumental, this momentum going into this week 2 game?
Yeah, as far as how the stadium was going, I've been to a lot of Packer Vikings games. There's a lot of Packer fans that go to them, and there wasn't quite as many this time. It's hard to be too loud and stuff when there's so many Packer games, but every game I've been to, there's always been a go Pat, go chat. And there was a couple times they tried to get it, and the Vikings fans overtook them and would like skull Vikings. So I thought that was pretty cool. During that game, that game was a lot closer than the score was. The Packers turned the ball over in the red zone. A couple things went the Vikings' way. But if I was a Packer fan, I just don't understand how they left Justin Jefferson wide open so many times. There was times where there wasn't a player within 5 yards. I just could not understand that. Jefferson is good, but anyone's going to make those plays when you're that wide open. I'm sure some of it has to do with Justin Jefferson's route running. He's a great route runner. He can find to get open, but still, I think defenses are going to key on him a little more, and it's going to be tough for him to put up those numbers again.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. What about you, Brad? Are you scared for Justin Jefferson coming into to Philadelphia? Do you think he can continue his success? I know you're very biased, but that boy looks good right now, let me tell you.
I'll tell you what, dude. Of course I think he can continue his success. I think him and Jamar Chase are neck and neck for, to me, the best receiver in the NFL at the moment. I do think Justin Jefferson has a slight upper hand on him right now. And I tell you what, I love Darius Slay and Garner Johnson. I think that was a huge addition for our team. I do think we have better corners now than we have in a long time. But if the Eagles right now are known for one thing, our secondary has some games where we just get absolutely toasted. And that's where I'm a little nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous about Jalen Reagor. I shouldn't be, because he did absolutely nothing. But I also feel like he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder too. Justin Jefferson, man, I mean, come on. He's certified top 2 receiver in the league. I do think he continues his momentum. I still think we're going to get the dub, but I think it's going to be a heck of a game tonight, man. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an absolute blast. I think it's going to be super fun to watch. I think Jefferson's going to continue to keep going. And I think the more they key on Jefferson, I think in the coming weeks, I think Adam Thielen's going to have I think he's going to be a big X factor as well, because I think they're going to key on Jefferson so much. And Thielen's so good at finding the windows. He's he's very, very shifty and crafty, sneaky athletic, as we say on the show. I like the Vikings. Obviously, so the spread is 2.5 points. But before I want to get to that, I want to ask Jess what his take is, and I already know Brad's take on this. What are your thoughts? Do you think Kirk Cousins is an elite quarterback, Jess? What do you think about Kirk Cousins? There's a lot of hate, a lot of mixed emotions on him. As a avid Vikings fan, what do you think about Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins, I don't think you're going to find too many people that are a bigger fan of Kirk Cousins than me. I think he's best quarterback in that division. He puts up better numbers. He's always says the right things. He looks like a leader to me. People hate on Kirk Cousins. Like, no matter what he does, they say he can't win the big game. He's lost a lot of big games. He's not out there playing defense, man. All those big games, he's put up 40-plus points. I think he's underpaid, if anything, Kirk Cousins. But I'm pretty biased here. I love him. That's my take.
Hold on. So I can't overlook what you just said, Jess. I can't do it. And I know you're saying with your chest, and I'm all for it, but I just want to have it documented. So Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, he's better than Aaron Rodgers. You said it here first. You believe it?
Oh, I truly believe that.
Heck yes. That's why he's my brother right there. Brad, tie into this conversation. What do you got to say about Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers slander? What do you got?
No way. Absolutely no way. Look, man, I'll be real. I've not liked Kirk Cousins simply because of the Redskins time he was there. Just the whole "you like that," the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I will actually agree with your brother on the take about. I do think he's actually played well in big games. I think y'all's defense has actually dropped the ball. I actually think that Kirk Cousins, if the defense stays like they are now, I think Kirk Cousins will probably have his best year in the NFL this year. I still don't like him. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of a perception thing. He's always giving me a little cringe. I'm just like, I can't buy into the stock. But I will say, he's a good quarterback, and there's a lot of hate on him, and I think some of it's unwarranted. I think that, like we said about Jalen Hurts, I think some of the criticism kind of just falls on him without true facts. But I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy, but I can respect a good quarterback when I see one. I do think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, I feel for him because everybody. I mean, I would say, especially when he got his first big fully guaranteed contract, got the fully guaranteed contract coming into Minnesota. Like, everybody was kind of shook about that because he didn't produce like in Washington like some of the other bigger guys that he was getting paid like. But I will say, I think he's legit. I know at the beginning I didn't think that. There was a thing on Instagram and Twitter, like is my favorite video meme thing I've ever seen. Just absolute hate of on Kirk Cousins. They had this thing where like Vikings fans would send in. I wish I had the video, but they would send in their submissions of like Kirk Cousins. They had like this thing where Kirk Cousins would go on a scramble and then you throw an on the run pass and then you have to act like you're going to catch the ball, like, and then you send it in to like the Vikings fan page and like you act like you're making a diving catch or a fun catch or something. And this one guy sent it in. Just like they played the video, and Kirk Cousins rolls out and throws the ball. The guy had the ball go over the house behind him, like a terrible throw. It's the funniest video I've ever watched. But it's like that is like the perfect description of like what Vikings fans thought of Kirk Cousins at first. But I think he's 100% proved himself. Yeah, we haven't had like the NFC Championship game yet, but I don't know, man. He's a good game manager. He handles the game well, and he can hit the guys. He has the weapons. I like him in there. I like him in there over like a Dak Prescott. I like him in there over a lot of players. I'm pretty high on him with Jess. Now, I don't think he's better than Aaron Rodgers, but I do think that he's on the outside looking in for a top 10 quarterback in the league. I think he's for sure top 15, looking at top 10. I'm high on him. I think he can get it done, and I like them too, without a doubt. I'm taking their money line this tonight for sure. Hammer it, give the Vikings for sure on the road. I know the history of the Vikings going on the road to the Eagles is not pretty. Go back to the playoffs. We all know the game. Nick Foles, you're dead to me. But I think this year's gonna be different. I think the Vikings are gonna get it done. That's my take on Kirk Cousins. All right, moving on to the Bills, the Titans at the Bills. Let's get into it. First things first. Jess, do you think the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL right now?
I mean, after one game, it's pretty hard to make a case against them being the number one team in the NFL. They did everything right. I wasn't super high on them. I think they're a good team, but I didn't think they were going to play anything like last week. Their defensive line with Von Miller added. I mean, I think they're the best team. So yes, I think the Buffalo Bills right now are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
I have to agree. I think that they have all the pieces you need. They seem solid at every level of the defense and offense. I think Josh Allen is on a revenge tour this year. I think that he has a different look in his eye right now. I think they're coming for heads this year. I think they're still got a little salt in their mouth from that loss to the Chiefs, and I think they're coming out this year with something to prove, and that's dangerous for a team that already looked like one of the top three best teams in the league last year.
Yeah, no, I think the Bills are, until proven different, they're the number one team in the league right now. ESPN has them as number one team. I think almost everybody does until they get beat. Then I'm sure it'll switch up. But Derrick Henry did not have a very good showing week one. He kind of didn't – the whole Titans team didn't have a very good showing. Do you think he has a – who was that?
TJ.
Was that TJ? What's up, TJ? But I think Derrick Henry 100% has a bounce-back game coming into week two. I think they makes it closer. I think it's going to be. Brad, do you think Derrick Henry has a bounce back game and the Titans can even keep it close?
I can't see Derrick Henry having 2 games like he did last week. But he is playing the Bills defense, and they're stingy. They're fast to the ball. They make good open field tackles. They have a great secondary, so they're going to be relying heavy on the run. I think that if I had to put my money on it, I'd go with the Bills defense. But Derrick Henry's proven time and time again that he's due for a breakout game every couple weeks. So I don't think he's gonna. He'll probably have, I'd say, 105 yards today rushing.
About you, Jess, what do you think about one of the top 2 running backs in the NFL? Is he going to have a bad game again?
Well, yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, I've always kind of doubted him. But I mean, it's hard to doubt someone that is that big and can run that fast. I think he has a bounce back game. And the only way he doesn't, if the Bills get up by quite a bit, Tennessee might steer away from the run game, and then I could see him not having a big game. So as long as they're in the game, I think Derrick Henry has a bounce back game.
Yeah, all right. One more player I want to talk about before we're moving on to my favorite segment, NFL Trivia. I love to ask you guys some questions, see if you guys know anything about NFL. But before we do that, Josh Allen, probably the guy with the most hype coming into the season, leading that offense. Jess, do you think Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now?
Oof.
It's tough.
I would probably say, well, top 3 off the top of my head, I'm going to say no.
Who
He's
do you
damn close.
Who do you have in front of him?
I mean, Tom Brady's the best. I can't go against Tom Brady. He's number 1. Number 2, just off the top of my head, I don't know if I have a number 2, but I know there's a couple of people I'd put in front of Josh Allen, but he's well on his way for sure. I mean, I'm not sure why I don't even like him. He's done everything. He's done it all. He's proven himself, but I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Yeah, I have him. It's tough because those top 5 in the league are pretty interchangeable. I'm gonna go ahead and say he is. I don't know. That's tough though, because if we think about the top 3 or 4, we lost Brad, but it's okay. We'll stay on. I think we got Mahomes is up there. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, Allen. I think those are the top 4 in the league. I don't know if you agree with any more than that. We let Brad back in here. All right, so Brad, let me catch you up here. Jesse said no, not right now. I have my top 4 quarterbacks as Mahomes. Not in order. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, and Allen. Those are the 4 guys that kind of stand out right now. Oh, and I got Allen at 4 looking in because I can't put him again ahead of Tom Brady yet, and I can't put him against Mahomes. Mahomes' arm talent is too unbelievable. I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league. So I have Josh Allen at 4 behind those 3 guys. What's your take?
I've got him right now as number 1.
Number 1.
Huge Josh Allen guy. I have loved him since he was at Wyoming. I actually think arm talent, I think he has the strongest arm in the NFL. I also think that last season when he went head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes, I actually think he had a more impressive game in my opinion because I think he was working with less on the receiving core. And I do think he literally just ran out of time. That game was so neck and neck. I don't know why I give him the edge over Patrick Mahomes, even though Patrick Mahomes obviously has the ring and has the wins. Josh Allen, like I said, he just has a different look in his eye this year. He just looks like he's poised to just take everyone's head off. I think he's come with something to prove. I think the biggest thing that's his biggest upswing has been his decision making. I know his first couple seasons in the NFL, he threw a lot of interceptions. He made a lot of just arid throws where I think he was just trying to fit balls into areas that probably wouldn't fit. But I think now he's gotten a lot more comfortable with throwing the ball away or maybe even taking off for a couple, 3-yard run instead of a 30-yard pass that ends in a pick. I think his decision making is where he's really improved at, and I think no one's ever questioned the talent. I think it's just been the turnovers, and I think that him and Stephon Diggs look like look like world beaters right now, but we'll see. But right now, I'm fully on the train. Probably the conductor. Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. He's the best quarterback in the league. Got to do it.
I knew that was coming. I know you're a big Bills and Josh Allen guy. I knew it was coming. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into the spread of the game. Bills are 10-point favored at home against the Titans. Jess, do you think the Bills will cover -10?
I've never been very good at betting, so I'm going to say no, but that probably means put your money on the Bills. I just think it's going to be a closer game than 10. 10's quite a few points. Titans, they were the number 1 seed last year in the AFC. You know, they're not a bad team. I think they can keep it within 10.
All right. What about you, Brad? What do you think?
I'm going Bills. I think it's just going to be a 21-point blowout. I'm serious. I watched Tennessee last week. I don't think Ryan Tannehill brings any dynamic to that offense whatsoever. I could not believe they brought him back. I thought he was for sure out after last season's performance in the playoffs, but I think that Tennessee's too one-dimensional. I don't think they'll score enough points. I think Buffalo will thread the needle pretty easily on the defense. I'm looking at like a 31-10, maybe like 42-21 game there. I'm thinking they're going to score a lot of points on Tennessee. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm going with.
All right. I'm going to ride the Bills too. I'm going to take anything to win by at least 10 points. I think it's going to be right around that 10-13. It's probably going to come down to a garbage time late touchdown to make it probably, and I'm sure the Titans will cut. The Titans will probably get within 10 because some kind of garbage time points. But I think the Bills, for the majority of the game, will be ahead by a touchdown or two. So I got the Bills winning by at least 10 points. All right. Now, I know this is kind of going a little long, but I kind of want to get into this. This is my favorite part of the show. And we always play a game at the end of the show. It's kind of for fun. And we're going to do NFL trivia with you two guys. So this week I went down and I looked at a lot of like the career leaders in different categories. And I'm going to give you guys, and you're going to tell me which ones you think had the most in each category. We're going to have a little fun with the categories of that. I'll give you the guys' names for most of them. We'll see how you guys do.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Number 1 for Jesse. Who has more career touchdowns? Like passing touchdowns. Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger?
Phillip Rivers.
The answer is, it is Phillip Rivers by 3 touchdowns.
Oof.
So Jesse's got 1. Brad, coming to you. Who has more career rushing touchdowns? AP or Walter Payton?
Ooh. I'm going to go Adrian Peterson because I don't think Walter Payton.
Peterson by 10 points. I can't slander my boy on I can't do it. I can't do it in publicly. I can't do it. All right, Jess, coming back to you. Who has more rushing touchdowns career? Priest Holmes or Marshawn Lynch?
Priest Holmes.
It is Priest Holmes by 1 touchdown. He has 86, and Marshawn Lynch is 85. Jess has 2, Brad has 1.
Ball off on the 1-yard line, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right?
He could add 1 more. He could have tied him. It's Russell Wilson's fault. Speaking of which, Russell Wilson, did they just not want to run the ball in the goal line? That's what happened. It's happened this year, too. He will not run the ball on the goal line. I have Javonte Williams in fantasy. Last week, he had 2 chances to do it, and he 3 straight passes on the 2-yard line. Absolutely ridiculous. Moving on. I'm sorry.
You talk about the running back for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, Javonte Williams.
Both running backs fumbled inside the 5-yard line on the goal line. If that has, I don't know if that had anything to do with why they passed it 3 times, but last game, both of them fumbled within the 5-yard line. So
that's true. Yeah, that might be it. But I was just mad last week how did he throw the ball 3 times on the 2-yard line?
Yeah.
He hasn't learned already.
All right, here we go. Is it Brad now? I think it is. Brad to tie the score. Who had more fourth quarter comebacks? Brett Favre or Eli Manning?
Oh, man. Oh, this is hard. Oh, my gut. My gut wants to take Eli. But I'm thinking because of career games played, I got to go Eli Manning.
You going Eli?
No way.
It is Brett Favre by 1.
Of
Oof.
course.
Brett Favre had 28 fourth quarter comebacks. Eli Manning had 27.
Wow.
No
I didn't even think it was that close.
I know, right? All right.
Man, tough one.
This one is tough for Jess. If you pull this one off, Jess, I am not giving you the people in this one. This one's tough.
Well, you'd say I got a 50% chance regardless, don't I?
No, because I'm not giving you the players in this
Oh,
one. That's why
perfect.
see if you can guess it.
All right.
And if you know it, Brett, I'll let you steal it. I don't know if you're going to get it. What quarterback has the highest career completion percentage of all time? And he is a quarterback that's playing right now.
Yeah. Shit, right off the top of my head. Someone that
It's going to surprise you.
completes all his passes. I'll give it up to Brad. I do not know who it is.
Oh, I'll tell you what, man, that's a good question. I'm going to say, oh, this is so tough. He's playing right now, you said?
Yeah. He's in the league right now.
Is it Aaron Rodgers?
It is not. It is a not as good as Aaron Rodgers quarterback. That's why I added it in there. I'll give you guys both a hint.
Stafford?
No, it's an AFC quarterback. One more guess for both of you.
Ooh.
And it's not Mahomes.
Justin Herbert.
No. Jess, you get a last guess, then we'll move on. It's
AFC quarterback.
this one's almost impossible. I just wanted to see if you guys would know. I just want to tell you guys. That's why I wanted to put it in there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Who is it?
It is the most controversial quarterback probably in the league right now, Deshaun Watson.
Oh.
I wouldn't have got that one right.
Yeah, I know that one's tough. I should throw people in there, but all right. I think it's tied. I think it's tied up right now. No, it's not. Jess has one more than Brad because he got the Eli Manning question wrong.
He's up.
All right, so coming to Jess. Who has the most career rushing yards out of these three players? Jim Brown, the bust Jerome Bettis, and Marshall Faulk.
Well, Jim Brown's like 6th on the list. I'm gonna go with Brown.
It is not.
Can I
You think
steal
he's
it?
6th on the list?
But Jim Brown, he's like 6th on the all-time rushing list, isn't he?
Well, if he is, then my website was wrong. But the website, the information that I have says Jerome Bettis, but I don't know if that's right. I know you got me thinking about it.
Well, if a website said it, then I'd go with that. But
All right. Well, there you go. Brad, to tie it up.
Yeah.
Who has more career rushing yards? LaShawn McCoy or O.J. Simpson?
What a guy, huh? Oh man. I'm gonna say OJ, even though I think LaShawn McCoy is probably definitely gonna be close. Is it OJ Simpson?
It is O.J. Simpson.
Carry. What a guy!
All right.
Wow.
This is off
really
of
point out-
NFLreference.com, and I looked them all up. All right. So I'm going to give this one to Brad because I gave you a tough one, Jess, with the nobody in between, but I'm going to give this one to Brad.
yeah,
What quarterback has the highest single-season passer rating ever?
Ooh.
Also in the NFL right now.
Oh, is he currently playing? Hi. Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers.
It is Aaron Rodgers.
I know that.
All right, Brad takes the lead by 1. Jesse, who has a higher career passer rating in their career? Who has a higher career passer rating? Tony Romo or Steve Young?
wow. I'll go with Tony Romo.
It is Tony Romo.
Big Romo.
All right. I think we have 2 more for each of you, then we'll have a bonus question. Who has the most career TDs? Rob Gronkowski, Hines Ward, or Larry Fitzgerald? To you, Brad, I believe.
Ooh. I'm going to say Larry Fitzgerald. I think he's had more targets, but I feel like it could be Gronk. But I'm going to go Larry Fitz just because he has more targets, I bet.
It is Larry Fitzgerald. Jess, coming to you. Another career TDs question. Who has the most career TDs? We have Calvin Johnson, Reggie Wayne, or Jimmy Graham.
Ooh, it's got to be Wayne or Jimmy Graham. I'm going to go with Reggie Wayne.
It is Jimmy Graham. Brad up by 1. Now we're going into the bonus question. And just to make it fun, it's going to be worth 3 points. So Jess can win with a guess and get it right. And if Brad wins, he wins it all right. Here we go. This is for Brad. What quarterback? No, actually, I'm going to go Jesse first, because if he gets it right, then he can win, and then it's up to the Brad at the end. Who is third? No, sorry. Here we go. What quarterback is third on the career fourth quarter comeback list behind Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? For you, Jess.
Well, can't be him. I'm going to say Joe Montana.
It is not Joe Montana. I'm going to let Brad. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. Brad. Who is third in career touchdowns scored behind Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith?
Ooh. I'm going to guess LaDainian Tomlinson.
It is LT. Your winner for this episode is Brad Perry. So
well earned.
I'm going to let you – I always let our guests and people kind of have like a 30-second or 15-second thing, what they want to shout out, what they want to talk about. Where's something you want to talk to about the game Monday night? Well, go ahead, Brad. You go first.
I got you. Actually, I want to shout out my Kentucky Wildcats. You know, we're having us
Number 8 in the country, baby.
8th in the country. I think we proved Anthony Richardson's a fraud. Can't stand that man. Florida, come on, dude. Florida's the biggest load. Can't stand that program. I also want to say a big thing right here. I think Georgia right now, if they play Alabama, was killing them. I think Alabama should have lost to Texas. I also think Debo Mills might have made the worst take in the history of sports when he said that Stetson Bennett was better than Bryce Young. That's all I got to say, man. Go Cats. Definitely looking forward to that game in Oxford when we get our running back. But man, it's been a blast to be on here. This is fun. I like it.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's fun just to chat about sports all day long, and better than doing it in Landon's basement or doing it here on kind of in the public eye.
Although I do wish Landon was on, man. I miss him.
We'll get you on again, and we'll have some real debates on there. We'll get it on. Like I said, he was supposed to be on, but he's having a guy look at his Wi-Fi, getting a new router right now, so he couldn't make it on.
That's awesome.
Jess, anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to, any final takes before going into Monday night, or any kind of cool things you want to talk about? Go ahead. This is your time.
I think there's a couple good games. This is my first time ever being on any kind of podcast of anything, so I'm kind of rough. But you guys do good. It was fun listening. You guys sounds like you know what you're doing. Sorry if I'm not quite as good, but it was fun filling in, and thanks for having me.
No, man, the more outlandish it is, the better. That's the more ridiculous it can get. Like I said, our buddy Devo, or Dylan, as you know him, Jess, came on here and said after week 1, after they tied the Texans, he said they were the 4th best team in the NFL, and we roasted him for it. But you know what? That's what happens. And then he also came on and said that Bryce Young, the returning Heisman candidate, is a worse quarterback than I can't even think of the guy's name, Stetson Bennett from Georgia. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, but things like that, it just pops off. Landon almost left the show when Debo said that. It was pretty funny. He got pretty upset. But no, it's a lot of fun. But
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's a good time. Thank you guys for coming on. And for everybody watching this, like and subscribe to the video and comment down below what you guys want to have us talk about in our videos. We don't know what you guys want. unless you tell us, because we are this is the Fan Cave podcast. This show is made by the fans, for the fans, for you guys. Please check this thing out and like and subscribe and comment down below what you guys want us to cover from here on out. Thanks, guys. This has been the Fan Cave podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Bludorn, aka Blue, and thanks, guys. Peace.